And hello again, everyone. I'm Patty Ann Brown in for Arthel Neville, and it is time now for Sunday House Call.
And I'm Eric Shawn. Welcome as always. Joining us, Dr. Marc Siegel, professor of medicine at NYU's Langone Medical Center, author of The Inner Pulse, Unlocking the Secret Code of Sickness and Health. And he's joining us this morning from Dallas for a very special reason we'll get to in a second.
That's right. And joining us right here on set, Dr. David Samadi, chairman and professor of urology at Lenox Hill Hospital, and also the chief of robotic surgery.
And the reason that, hi, doctors, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
The reason Dr. Siegel is in Dallas is because of this. He went along with former President George W. Bush back on their bike, taking part in the 5th annual Warrior 100K, a 3-day mountain bike tour in Texas that honors wounded veterans, and Dr. Siegel rode along.
With their former leader at the head of the pack, 17 servicemen and women hit the trail for the annual W100K mountain bike ride on President George W. Bush's Prairie Chapel Ranch. Now in its 5th year, the ride, part of the Bush Institute Military Service Initiative, honors injured post-9/11 veterans. This year's ride focuses on traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress, the invisible wounds of war.
We're here riding with people who got hurt. They're injured. And yet they refuse to allow their injury to consign them to, a dull, meaningless life.
As many as 18% of service members who fought in Afghanistan and Iraq suffer from PTS, according to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The 62-mile ride over 3 days helps promote healing through endurance and teamwork. Yeah! Sergeant Major Brian Flum has served 24 years in the Army. He suffered from a TBI and PTS after being hit by shrapnel.
It's not a disorder. It's part of me. It's what shapes me and makes me who I am today. And, I guess I can let it handicap me and make it a disorder if I chose to, or I can come out and get outside and do, events like this.
Not only we, but a lot of programs in the country are dedicated to helping these warriors become the productive citizens we know they can be.
This is a great event for that, to be able to be evaluated, and they're out here in a really good confines of people that care for them, beginning with President Bush and their families.
What an important and incredible cause. Dr. Siegel, how was it? And a lot of exercise, too.
It was amazing. And, President Bush calls it the invisible wounds of war, so they're focusing this year on post-traumatic stress, which is 1 out of 5 of the veterans that are returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. And, one veteran told me that she didn't feel like she deserved to be called wounded. There's a big stigma with PTS, and I think that this is part of the attempt to overcome it. Because, Eric, we got to figure out more where PTS comes from. We got to figure out more about what biomarkers to look at, what brain scans to do, what chemicals to test for, genetics. But you know something? This is the therapeutics right here. You get on a bike trail. He's exuding compassion. He's exuding leadership. Even now, no longer the president, at the front of the pack. Everyone's striving to keep up with him. If somebody falls, he checks. He knows about it. He looks to see how they're doing. The teamwork, the togetherness, the compassion, and the not giving up is something that's being broadcast around the country here, a very positive message.
It is remarkable and clearly so close to the former president's heart. Dr. Samadi, these wounds of war, they can so often be so invisible and harmful if not taken care of.
Well, you have to worry about what you see, which is certainly with this collaboration and teamwork and leadership that President Bush is bringing is very important. I want for a lot of people who in their family may have some member that may have PTSD to understand how to diagnose it. And the key word to remember is trauma. The key trauma is T stands for trauma itself. R is re-exposure. They keep getting the flashbacks. They keep remembering. A is avoidance. These are social numbing. They don't want to interact with other people. They don't want to be out there. And certainly, like when the symptoms go for more than a month and they start having irritability, remember the word trauma, and we'll post it online. There's a lot of news going on as we speak. But understand it and face it. Now, a lot of treatment is not only psychological, Eric, but we're also bringing virtual reality. And we are bringing these soldiers and bringing them to desensitize some of the problems that they have. Study after study shows that especially the olfactory or sensory memory is very aggressive. So by bringing these soldiers, and you have to face them. This is a very important thing. Avoiding PTSD or changing the D out and call it PTS is not going to take care of this. A lot of these people will commit suicide. They are avoided by a lot of people. They don't want to be part of the society anymore. By bringing them and treat them with virtual reality and desensitize some of those things that they saw in the war, in the plane crash, in building coming down, 50% of them, they do very well. And that's the new and latest way to treat PTSD. This is very, very important for people to know.
All right, moving on to the next topic now. Go ahead, Doc.
One quick point about this. Post-traumatic stress is more pervasive than post-traumatic stress disorder. That's the point. We don't want to see our veterans stigmatized. By calling it an injury rather than a disorder, we're thinking of it as more extensive, and we have to look at more complex ways of solving it. A disorder marginalizes someone. That's a disease. This is an injury.
I think
that
as long
plus
as
other
Marc,
issues.
I think what you're doing is excellent. I think like dealing with this is very therapeutic.
Right.
The name is one thing. We can change the names the way we want, but the fact that they're involved and they're getting therapy and working on this, we all commend you and for what you've done, and certainly President Bush.
And certainly hats off to him for leading this the whole time.
That is for sure.